All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes in social media. My name is Judson Powell. All right, so I've gotten a couple of inboxes about my Kemetic teachings, and actually, people want me to do it. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna stop. Let me stop. Anyway, and the other thing is, I'm watching too much TikTok, man. Are you addicted? I'm addicted to that TikTok. I can't stop watching it. Like, you cannot believe like what some people will do, right? Anyway, just to, it's all good. But anyway, I just had to, I guess when you admit to like addiction and stuff like that, it's easier to kick it. Anyway, so enough about TikTok. I'm gonna do a serious teaching right now. And so anyway, so there's this guy, and he keeps on inboxing me, which is cool. I'm not mad at him or nothing like that. But every time he inboxes me, because I guess he doesn't really understand my history, and so my history, like of researching theology, God, all of that, whatever you want to, whatever religion, all that stuff, and so I So I guess I kind of owe an explanation on why I love Kemetic spirituality so much, and I don't call it a religion because it's really not a religion. Okay, so because here's the thing, like he said, well, tell me about your God and why your God exists or why your God is real, and then I'm like, well, we don't really. The thing about Kemetic spirituality and science is science. Is Kemetic spirituality and science. So it's about your spirit. And so the linchpin is know thyself and to thine own self be true, which I say all the time. Y'all know I say it all. Y'all watch these videos. Y'all know I say that all the time. Because it's not about God. In fact, our Moorish ancestors, the Moors, when they wrote the Bible and the Quran, they wrote it under duress, okay? And we wrote the Bible. So it's like we wrote the Bible for them so that they could have power and control over not only black people, but their people as well. Because remember, during the quote unquote dark ages, or through the all of those times when basically France and England we're trying to conquer the world and rule everything. If you weren't a Christian, or if you didn't believe in Christian, religion, then you were dead. They killed you, black or white. It wasn't even about, at that point, it wasn't even about slavery or anything like that. So that's why I try to tell people, it's like you have to be careful about what you're reading, and you have to understand and I've done teachings. You can go through my thing and find the one I did on the Codex and Scriptus, the fact that, even the language, the reason why languages were stolen and taken away from you is because then you couldn't dig up your spirituality again, because there was no, so here's the thing. So we didn't really have gods. The concept generator, operator, destroyer is the Moorish concept of God. Generator, operator, destroyer, which is you. It has nothing to do with somebody out in the sky or anything like that. And the God, if there is such thing as a God, it would be Amun Ra, which Amun Ra is the sun. And all of the things that they say about the sun are true, because it's the only faithful thing that happens, that occurs. It occurs faithfully. It's the only thing that you can count on faithfully. And if it doesn't function the way that you think it does every day, we're all dead anyway. Think about it. Rises in the east, sets in the west. All right? Takes you, your birthday is your solar return day. Takes what, 365 days for you to go around what? The sun. Has nothing to do, so people celebrate their birthday. You can't celebrate your birthday without Kemetic spirituality. The speed of light, the speed of sound, the chakras. That's why the chakras all have colors. because they're what? They're light. Okay, they're energy. They're the energy of life and the energy of light. All right, and it's proven. And the seven chakras, they're inside of you. You know, just like I read a post today, somebody was like quoting from Enoch. He was seventh from God, and that all that is talking about him getting his crown or getting his crown chakra. Has nothing to do, and it was all written in this codus and scriptus. It was all written in this code. So in Kemetic spirituality, there's your God. Okay, if there is such a thing, and really there is not such a thing. The such a thing is that you are a combination of netters. Okay, the netters are your basically your nature, what you do, and that's what our ancestors studied, because there was nothing else. Because listen and just think about it logically. Okay, when they looked, all right, what did they see? The only thing that they saw was what was on the earth, because at some point, you know, there's nothing there. There's only the animals. There's water, you know. So you get the elements, just like when, you know, the stars, the sky, et cetera, and so that's what they studied. And so they figured out that's how they built the pyramids. The pyramids sit, once again, and I've said this before, the pyramid, the Great Pyramid sits at what? It sits at true north. So how did they know what true north is? And then it's exactly, you know, the coordinates are exactly to what? The speed of light. So how did they know that? In other words, they had to study it. And then we have, and so, like, for example, what they try to say is a polytheistic system. It's not a polytheistic system. It's about learning yourself. It's about knowing, you know, each one of those deities, so to speak, doesn't have any power or control over you. What it is it's teaching you about you. Big difference. You know, big difference between that and Jesus. It's like, okay, so, and that's what so when you reach the consciousness of Haru, when you reach Haru consciousness, your crown chakra is not even in your body. When you open up your pineal gland and you open up your third eye, you know, it's not in, you know, that's an outer body. It's an inner body, but it's also an outer body experience, because then you're actually exposed to the spiritual realm, the Akashic records, all of that stuff. And people, well, how did they invent all of this stuff? And just like I try to tell people, it's like there are literally hieroglyphs of the light bulb that are there, that are 10,000 years older than the Bible. There are, you know, people, and then now, you know, the latest thing, you know, folks trying to say is that, you know, all of this stuff was invented by aliens and all this kind of stuff. Not true. Or if it was true, you know, then our ancestors were able to speak to people from other planets. And if you look, you know, just like in the Bible, who can loosen Orion's belt? You know, that's a Kemetic spiritual concept. Orion's belt, because they knew the stars. Astrology, when people try to tell you that astrology is evil, it's not evil. Ronald and Nancy Reagan used astrologers all the time when they ran the country. And nobody, you know, black folk, oh no, you know, you can use astrology so that you pick the right mate, so that you don't make mistakes, because you could tell spiritually where the planets were, you know, how they lined up, what they did on the day you were born, at the time you were born, everything. Why do you think they put your time of birth on your birth certificate, and your time of death on the death certificate? Because these are the times that you enter through the portals. The portals taking you from one world, from one universe into another. Or maybe not into a different universe, but into a parallel universe. I know. So the netters, your nature, that's what your whole journey is, to discover what is your nature, what is your, why were you created, and what's your substantive position in the universe. I talked the other day about the law of universal oneness. Everybody, just like everybody wants to be certain, but there's certain things that you are predestined or preordained to do. Either from this life or from a past life. And so when you try to go against that destiny, it's kind of difficult. But if you know what that destiny is and you follow it, and everybody's path is different. Even if your path is to be the garbage man, nobody, hey, look, ain't nobody mad at the garbage man until the garbage is all piled up. Nobody wants to be the garbage man, but let the garbage pile up. You understand what I'm saying? So everybody's position under universal oneness in the universe is important. Everybody has an important position. And that's what the church, and see, the church gives us all these different things, like they make you think that certain people are better than other people, but it's not true. And that's why the whole thing about racism is dumb. Racism is dumb. It really is. And that's why I always talk about black power, white power, as like, nobody has any greater power than anybody else. You all have the same power. You're all created. And one thing that the preamble to the Constitution says is that all men are created equal. True. But when you try to tell somebody else that they're not, or that's what we fight against. We fight against the oppression and things by people who think they know more than we do. And what's really funny is, especially, when people don't know Kemetic spirituality and they try to tell you stuff from the Bible, but they don't know that, look, Kemetic spirituality is the origin of the Bible. That those scribes, those Moorish scribes that wrote the Bible and wrote the Quran and everything else, they drew from the hieroglyphs. They drew from the papyrus. They drew from the Egyptian Book of the Dead, or the Book of Coming Forth by Day. That's where they got it from. And people say, and you can't, it's like everything else. And the fact of the matter is, all of this stuff got lost. I read somewhere, I think, where Dr. Clark has said that that they have taken all of the knowledge and information, and not only did they steal us, but they stole all of that as well, and then they hid it. And then because if somebody tells you Jesus, 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 Jesus for thousands of years, I mean, that's all you know. You don't know anything else. You don't know any better. And that's why I don't really, I used to get mad at people and stuff like that. I still got friends like that. They be on, heathens and this, that, and the other. But I don't get mad anymore, because I realize that there has been a concentrated effort of thousands of years to indoctrinate you into Islam and Christianity. There literally have been, and the one thing that, while I will say this about Buddhists and Hindus, they don't try to do that. They're more so about the spiritual side of things, and I mean that's them. So you have to think about your own self, your nature. Dig into yourself, not what somebody else is telling, or not something outside of yourself. You are literally Lucifer and Jesus. That's what the funny thing about it is. They both bear light, but one bears light into darkness and one bears light into light. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand, like, what they're really saying to you. You are all good and evil. The universal law of polarity, the universal law of correspondence. As above, so below. If there's a left, there's a right. There's an in, there's an out. And everything good and evil, saint and sinner is all inside of you. It's you. And that's all they're trying to teach you. They're just trying to teach you about you. Anyway, that fastest 15 minutes is up. Uh, it's a lot to learn. But anyway, but then again, it's not, because you know you. You're the only one who knows you. Nobody else really knows you. Not even your mama. Anyway, fast 15 minutes is up. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit all the buttons for me. But most of all, as I always say, hit the love button. Your heart chakra is very important. Hit the love button.